Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.
I'm a headliner.
What is up, Headliner Nation? Chris Chow's back again for the Fantasy Headliners. Hope everybody's doing well out there as always, man. Today we're continuing down the path of the off-season workbooks, and we got the Washington Commanders. And I mean, okay, I got a gripe with this name. This is what the intellectual minds came up with? The Commanders? Are you kidding me? What are we going to call this team abbreviation-wise? The Commies? The Manders? Like, come on. I just, whatever. You know, same problems, different name, has potential all over the place on this Washington team. But hey, you know what? They got a decent foundation. I don't mind it overall. They have pieces to play with. But let's dive in and see what I believe we can do for this team this offseason, the Washington Commanders. So like I'm saying, man, the Washington football team is now the Washington Commanders. And I mean, guess what? 2021 was not a great season. Did we believe that they were going to be overly abundant with statistical achievement and making the playoffs? I didn't. They are still kind of, they're above ground floor, but at least they're moving in a trending direction in a positive way. Last season, 7-10, third in the NFC East. And I mean, their season overall was a tale of like two halves or three-part series. Like, that's just how it was, man. Wins, losses, you know, injuries. It's just how it was, man. The offense overall, not very good, man. The running game was basically the top end, 12th ranked overall, 121.2 overall. The defense, you know, this is the strength of this team. However, the stats do not say that, man. I mean, 25th, 22nd, 29th pass total yards, points, just terrible overall statistically. The run defense was very solid, but again, injuries did preclude them from having a baller type of campaign, man. Washington, like I said, it was an up and down season overall for this team. You know, basically right from the start, the excitement was the believing that Ryan Fitzpatrick could give us some fantasy football upside. You know, that he could maybe get this team to be a playoff contender, especially in a division like the NFC East, where it isn't necessarily overly abundant with talent either outside of the Dallas Cowboys, right? So, I mean, when Fitzpatrick was the guy, it was done. Week 1, first half, he gets injured. We thought, you know, this was going to be a positive. He doesn't come back. He was out for the rest of the year with that hip injury. There was a hope that he would have came back, but Tyler Heinicke, he's the guy that takes over the job. He did okay overall, but he did crumble as the year did move on. They started the year 2-6 in their first 8 games. Basically typical of how we believed this Washington football team was going to be, right? So, I mean, they managed to win 4 in a row after that, between weeks 10 and 13 to get back to 6-6. The defense was playing well. They had a great upset win versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we totally believe that, you know what, they could edge out a playoff spot, but it didn't come to fruition because they fell back down to earth on their last 5 games, hooking up 4 losses, and I mean, that was basically the season. Inadequate play from Tyler Heinicke, injuries all over the field. Chase Young went down with an injury. It wasn't great, man. Offensive line went down with injury. It was a very difficult season overall for the Washington Commanders, man, now that they're the Commanders. The end result, obviously, is they missed the playoffs. And I mean, but I'm going to say that I do agree that they do have great foundational pieces that they can work with and build upon from. And I think that they still have a lot of potential, man. I mean, the big top dogs last year, Heinicke, he was okay. 65% passer, 20 TDs to 4 interceptions. You can't hate it, but is he your franchise passer? Is he going to be the long-term answer in Washington? I have a hard time believing it, man. I can't see it. I think he would be a suitable, you know, backup quarterback that can come in when your quarterback goes down. I think that's kind of where his ceiling is going to be. Can he win you 6 games? Absolutely he can. He is careful with the ball. He loves diving for that end zone pylon, but I mean, outside of that, I don't foresee Heinicke being a franchise passer. Antonio Gibson, he came on to play, man. 258 attempts is nothing to sneeze at. You know, over 1,000 yards, 10 total touchdowns. He got more work in the receiving game, which is what we all wanted to see, right? He is that former wide receiver convert into a running back, and we know he's got hands and he's able to make plays in the pass game. Scary Terry, man, my guy. I love Scary Terry. And I mean, again, again, he just produces, man. He continues to showcase and tell the NFL and everybody watching he is quarterback proof. You get this man a viable quarterback one, and we will see crazy statistics coming his way. Get him also wide receiver help. I know the Curtis Samuel thing. We'll discuss that as we get into the contracts, but I mean, they desperately require a true number 2 wide receiver because Terry, he can't be guarded. And if you give him a quarterback one to finally get him the ball on high regularity and high frequency, that 5 touchdowns is going to turn into 12 easily, in my opinion. And he will definitely continue down the path of 85 to over 100 receptions. Like, that's how good Terry is. And he's being, put in the stable. And we're not understanding what he can be without a quarterback one. When it comes to the salary cap, this is interesting, because this Washington football team, they do have a lot of space, man. Like I said, 208 is the NFL salary cap. If you guys don't know, I'm just reiterating that from the last video. But I mean, 30.354, stumbling for a second, but I mean, they got money to spend, and this is a positive, especially for a team that does have youthful pieces to build around, especially if you're looking for a quarterback. Will they go veteran? Will they go NFL draft? That's going to be the biggest conversation piece for this Washington football team this offseason, without question. But when we dive into the top free agents that they do have, it's not overly abundant and scary that they won't be able to make plays. Brendan Sharif, $12.9 million market value. He is a free agent, 30 years old. Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 39, coming off that hip. I think it's over for Fitz, man. Fitzmagic, you did us well in Buffalo. You had a long career, but I mean, I think it's over. John Bostic, $32 million. I mean, he can be replaced. I don't foresee him being a top-end commodity product that Washington is going to want to bring back, but I could see him also coming back as well. Cam Sims, DeAndre Carter, Adam Humphries, all wide receivers, 26 to 28 years old. Sims 2.2, where Carter's 1.2, where Humphries could be 2.5. If it's me, I like Cam Sims, but they don't utilize him enough. He is that big body wide receiver that you could get outside and help Terry. Just didn't materialize near enough for me to say you're going to re-sign him. Adam Humphries is that nice piece over the slot, over the middle that they can continue to utilize at bargain dollar rates. And I would not hate or be surprised if they re-up Adam Humphries on a cheaper deal. J.D. McKissick also is on the free agent market, 28 years old, $3.5 million. And I don't hate that for a pass-catching back whatsoever. He has been able to show games of production where he even is able to run the ball extremely well as that change of pace back for Antonio Gibson. But 3.5, I don't hate it, especially when you got money to spend. I think he should be a shoo-in to come back because he gives this offense a lot of opportunity in the check down and short passes from the backfield, man. When it comes to, Washington's top cap cuts, I got to highlight this, even though they got a lot of money, simply because I got to put the GM hat on and let you guys know where the funds can be found. However, you got to understand, if a player is cut, they got to replace it somehow. And, this defense overall, you invested a lot of money in it. Did it materialize into anything great? It did not statistically, and you gave up a lot of plays. So now you got to look at Landon Collins. $16.2 million cap hit. His savings, $12 million, only $4.2 million going to dead cap. They signed William Jackson from the Bengals last offseason. He did not play overly great, in my opinion, in this defense, man. He's $14 million cap hit. He's got $11 million saved with only $3 going to dead. You can cut this, man. The way these contracts, you got to give the Washington Commanders front office staff a little bit of kudos because they did structure these deals very well, man. Kendall Fuller, another one. I like Fuller. I think he's a very good talent. I don't foresee him going anywhere, but I still got to make it the mark to say that, his cap hit, 11.1, where $8 million could be saved with only 3.1 going to dead funds. So, I mean, he is another cap casualty. Eric Flowers, $10 million can be cleared right off the books right away. And you know what, for me, I know they got offensive line issues, but for me, Flowers is part of that problem. You got to get rid of this man, especially for $10 million. You can save that money and put it elsewhere, especially with a lot of good free agents coming on the market. Washington, this is where the foundation lies for the Washington football team. Okay, they have bargain basement rates for some of their top-end talents. Heineke, I don't put him in as a top-end talent, but he is only $2.875 million costing this football team right now, and that's bargain rate. So if you don't get the quarterback you want, that you can go into to a serviceable season once again with this man. Antonio Gibson, $1.345 million still on the rookie deal. You got to love that price tag for the production he's going to give you in 2022. Terry McLaurin, $3.04 million, man. And I mean, again, that's a bargain. You know that they're going to have to pay this man eventually. It's coming very soon. I believe this is the last year. I'd have to double check that one, but I believe that this is his last year on contract, so I fully expect an extension coming his way very soon. Logan Thomas, 6.4. That's a little high for me, but I mean, it is what it is. When he's on the field, absolutely phenomenal talent, and he adds a lot of coverage. He pulls a lot of coverage, I should say, from Terry McLaurin, but the injury, obviously, this past season with the ACL was the issue. Curtis Samuel, man, we got to highlight what a horrible sign this was. $12.9 million cap hit with 18.1 on the dead as of 2022. They cannot move away from this man at this point. I believe post June 1st is about a $10 million cap hit, but you're stuck with Curtis Samuel this season, and that completely sucks because he just doesn't get on the field. His problem is he's hurt all the time, and this is the issue. But your potential cap savings, if they wanted to actually scratch a lot of these players off the books, you can save another $41 million, adding 70 to this total of cap space for the Washington Commanders. So they have options. That's the key. Depending on how they want to maneuver, how they want to go moving forward with this roster, they have the potential to earn and have more money on the books if they choose to, man. When it comes to the NFL draft, we know, and I got to say it again, go subscribe to Headliner U. I will be breaking down every single rookie coming into this draft and what landing spots they go to. It's good stuff. Go over there after this video and subscribe to Headliner U. Do us that favor. But, I mean, the Washington football team, they have all their 7 picks with the 5th coming from the Eagles. Their needs overall, QB, O-line, wide receiver, linebacker. Excuse me, that's where you need to go. Simple as that for this football team. I mean, they have holes on this defense. They did not play very good overall, in my opinion. Yes, the front line is a baller. Okay, you're not gonna. I'll put them as a comparable to some of the best defensive fronts in all of football. But where you lack is in that coverage, in that middle of the field. Your linebackers are just not cutting it. They're not getting it done. So to me, pick 11. You could go in many different directions. Nakobe Dean, Lloyd from Utah. These guys are big-time ballers, top-end commodities at the linebacker position in this draft. However, you know they're going to be looking for a quarterback. Is there a pro-ready quarterback in this draft as of today? I'm going to say it's Sam Howell. Sam Howell, to me, is the top dog, pro-ready as of day one that you could... I don't want to say you could insert him day one, but you almost could. And could he be an upgrade? I believe so from Tyler Heineke. But outside of that, all these other quarterbacks look to be developmental talents that you will have to wait on, right? So, I mean, if I don't even hate Washington trading back from 11. Stack a couple more picks, round out this roster a little bit more if you have a quarterback in mind. But, I mean, for wide receiver help as well, this wide receiver draft is loaded once again. You can easily get a running partner for Terry McLaurin, and they could do wonders in this offense. But again, you need the quarterback to get him the ball if that's going to happen. So wide receiver could be a stretch here at 11. But that's where I see this draft as of today for this Washington Commanders team. But I mean, players under contract today, the top dogs, we see foundational pieces for this Washington football team. It is Tyler Heineke as of today. Again, I'm going to put the caveat to say I think that, if a Sam Howell, Kenny Pickett came, I don't hate it. I think they both could do very good in Washington overall. Gibson, McLaurin, your top 1, 2. Curtis Samuel, man, I'm putting the injury mark on him because the man is always hurt. Is he ever going to be on the field? He's like a Band-Aid, man. He spends more medical time in the medical room than some doctors and physicians. So I don't like Curtis Samuel whatsoever. I'm out. I can't do it. Even at bargain fantasy football rates, I just can't do it anymore. Diami Brown, I still got a lot of hope on this man. He did fall off. He started the season looking decent, but he did fall off. He hit that rookie wall a lot quicker than I had anticipated, but I still believe that Diami Brown is a very talented, good wide receiver. I think he will be better off in the slot. So if they don't want to re-sign Adam Humphries, Diami Brown could change over into your slot position. Even though a lot of people like seeing him go deep, I think that inhibits his overall ability. Going into the slot position, being that mismatch against linebackers, I think would do him wonders, man. Logan Thomas, how will they handle it? Will he be back in time? Will he start the season on the PUP list? Very highly likely, but I mean, this is what they do. The defense, like I said, top-end commodities on that defensive front. Chase Young, Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Montez Sweat. I mean, you can argue that this is one of the better defensive fronts in all of football, and I won't argue it whatsoever. Chase Young also coming off that ACL injury. It's going to be tough. We'll see how he rebounds from his rehab. But I mean, hey, man, if Joe Burrow can come back in 15 months and be in the Super Bowl, I have no doubt that Chase Young at his young age, his youthful age, that he'll be able to get over this ACL injury and be back to that dominating force that we know him to be. But I mean, there you have it. That is the Washington football team and how I see them right now. So, I mean, it is going to be interesting how this Washington football team is going to move forward. I mean, Ron Rivera is still the head coach. Will his seat become warm and toasty this season with another losing record? I believe it will. So they need to change, and you got to hit on this draft. There's a lot of good talent in this draft. Let's go sign some priority free agents off the open market and start to rebuild this club. They need that quarterback, and that is going to be the storyline all off season long for the Washington Commanders, and they need that quarterback to finally move forward. Could Aaron Rodgers go to Washington? I doubt it. But hey, you know what? It's a good storyline that we can make up. But nevertheless, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. I am out.
Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.